What is it that separates those consistently who perform at high levels from those who struggle to reach their full potential? Is it talent? Is it intelligence? Or is it luck? or wait a minute, maybe it's something deeper, something that's happening in the mind. Oh, I can't wait to dive into this conversation. Come on, let's get started. Welcome to Transformation Station Leadership Podcast, where we explore leadership principles, mindset shifts, and transformational conversations that are designed to help you grow personally and professionally. I'm your host, Adrienne Benton, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of human potential, creativity, and performance. Today, we have Dr. Bramante that is joining us, and we're talking about the psychology of peak performance. But before we get into this amazing conversation, I want to share a few things with you. Number one, I want to invite you to go to mobilizingwithimpact.com and join our leadership community. When you join our community, you are going to get a newsletter every month. We have a newsletter that gives you leadership tips and practices and best principles, and you also get a chance to stay engaged with all of the events and the occurrences that we have. So go to mobilizingwithimpact.com right now and join our mobilizing community. I also want to remind you, listen, if you've ever made a mistake in your life, go ahead and raise your hand because I know all of us have. But if you've ever made a mistake in your life, we have a journal for you. It's called A Greater Force Than Failure, Intentional Time with God. It walks you through 4 steps on how to overcome failure. You can grab your copy, paperback or Kindle, from Amazon.com. So I'm inviting you to go ahead and grab the journal and join our community as we overcome failure one step at a time together. Well, I'm super excited to tell you about our guest today, Dr. Bramante. Dr. Albert Bramante is a seasoned talent agent with more than 2 decades of experience in the entertainment industry. He holds a PhD in psychology from Walden University. Driven by a passion for both the performing arts and the human psyche, he embarked on a mission to empower actors to overcome self-sabotage and unlock their full potential. Throughout his impressive career, Dr. Bramante has achieved remarkable success as a talent agent, securing roles for actors in a wide array of productions. And it is our honor today to welcome Dr. Bramante. Welcome to Transformation Station Leadership Podcast. We're so glad you're with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely. Okay, so listen, Dr. Bramante, every person, this is me thinking right here, every person has untapped potential. I have found throughout the years that sometimes the challenge is that most people will spend more time managing distractions than developing our strengths. So I want to start off by asking you this question. When we talk about peak performance, what's actually happening psychologically? And how does that differ from simply working harder?
Well, I'm glad, that's a very, excellent question. And I feel like when you're saying we're working on distractions, at that point, we're just in a point of reaction. And all we're doing is reacting. And so we could spend our energy, because when we say working hard, what we're really doing is just putting our energy into something.
Yes.
Doesn't mean that I could work hard but I could work hard spending so much time doing a menial task that may not move the needle for me. So that's not performing. That's just busy work. So what I mean by, peak performance or working hard, in a sense, is where are we going to move the needle from point A to point B in our lives? Or at least or have the impact around this that we can, help, whether we're managing a team, whether we're managing a project, how can we not only move ourselves but everybody else forward? And
Mercy.
there's a trap that a lot of you know, performers fall into, whether it's business, corporate, or things, is the busy trap. You know,
Mm,
I'm busy, and if you talk to a lot of some of the best um, speakers, the best business entrepreneurs, they may be all over, traveling all over the country speaking, but they'll tell you, I'm never busy.
mm, mm,
I'm have a system. I have a system in place. Learning to delegate is
mm,
also a key factor here too, because I think, myself included, a lot of times as business owners, we tend to want to do everything, or at least be afraid to delegate. And so we become more operators than entrepreneurs.
mm. I have to stick a pin in everything and go back to something you just said. Talk to us a little bit more about what you said as far as when you talk to these leaders who are out and they're traveling, they never say to you that they're busy. Talk to us just a little bit about that.
Well, they have schedules, they have everything with intention, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not stressed about it. It's not like they're trying to race around the clock, because
Mm-hmm.
they know when to delegate. They know when to say, okay, this is a task for an assistant. This is a task for someone else. Like, I'll bring someone else on my team who will maybe handle social media, or will handle admin, or will handle logistics, and they'll defer those tasks to them. So they're focusing on creating or expanding their business, and they're loving what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Because typically, you never really, when somebody says they're busy,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time it's coming at a place of stress. It's not like they're saying that they enjoy it. It's more like, I'm too busy right now. I'm stressed out right now. I'm about to,
Mm-hmm.
explode because I'm
Mm-hmm.
so busy. And it's like, that's not productive. That's where
Mm-hmm.
busy and being productive are
Different things.
two separate things. Yes.
Yeah. So, I'm pausing right here because so one, I've seen it in my own experience. And then as I'm thinking about just other leaders I know, it's like sometimes you get caught in the trap of wearing busy like it's a badge. Like the more busier you appear to be or you say you are, then somehow that's where your value and your identity comes, right? But Transformation Station, listen, you know that as leaders, we like to take some time when our guest is sharing and sowing into us to be able to reflect. And Dr. Bramante and I want to share with you this best practice that says prioritize focused work sessions that are combined with intentional recovery periods so that you can maximize both your productivity and creativity, right? Because here's a principle. Peak performance is driven by alignment. And I heard Doc sharing that with us today. Peak performance is driven by alignment, not exhaustion. I need you right now to go ahead in the comment section and just type not exhaustion, not exhaustion. Woo, Doc, I'm telling you, you're giving us a masterclass already.
Thank
This is
you.
fantastic. So
N-
please go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, because then exhaustion leads to burnout, and nobody's helpful or productive at burnout. That's
No.
when you start dropping the ball. That's when you start missing things. And that's when you start to develop what I call cynicism
Mm,
towards not only to whatever you're set up doing, but the people you're serving. And it's going to be overall not helpful to anybody.
yes, absolutely. So let me ask you this question. How does mindset, emotional regulation, which we hear a lot of people talking about now, and environment, how does that influence a leader's ability to access their highest creative potential?
Well, the one thing is getting rid of that noise, that incessant noise of that, again, where busy work and stress can lie into,
Mhm,
because the only way you're going to access the peak state is when you're in a more calmer mindset, and you're
mhm,
not in that fight or flight mode of, I need to get these deadlines, I have all these deadlines, these need to be met. That's
mhm.
not going to be that's not going to be in the long run productive. That's going to be in a
Correct.
fast track to burnout.
Yeah.
So another thing, even if you're not necessarily an entrepreneur, but you're working for someone,
Mhm.
another critical skill that's important is learning to set boundaries
Yes. Yes.
with intention and honor.
Mhm.
Um, and I think a lot of times, myself included, sometimes has a struggle with scheduling boundaries or at least setting them initially because we don't want to disappoint. We don't want to
Mm-hmm.
have people look down on us, but at the same time, it's a paradox because if we don't set boundaries, we're not going to create the respect of the people that
Mm-hmm.
are working with us. So
Mm-hmm.
intention is key, setting boundaries. And I like what you said about having the intentionality of doing things that you enjoy. So usually what and I've seen this method work is usually it could be like 90 minutes of like, for okay, 90 minutes of work, yeah, and then a 5 to 10 minute, 15-minute break
Mm.
where you're not focused. You get up, you go take a walk outside, walk
Mm-hmm.
around, whatever it is you do, read a book, whatever your guilty pleasure is, you should be doing that. And that should be something that should be baked into your day.
Yes.
Because a lot of these, again, what I mentioned earlier, these leaders and key performers, they have family lives, they have, you know, personal time, and they don't negotiate with that. That's not negotiable. Their
Yes.
family, their kids, their spouse, their community comes just as important as the work that they do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one of the things that may have to happen when it comes to operating on a space of creativity is to
Mm-hmm.
learn to schedule things. And that, most of the time, most people, when they look at if you look at their calendar app, it's meetings, it's, appointments, and that's all good. But however, where's the time with the kids? Where's the time with, the spouse? Where's the self care routine? That
Mm-hmm.
also should be in your calendar too.
Mm-hmm. I love this. All right, leaders, we are being right now challenged to really stop and look like what are we creating space for? Are you creating daily space for uninterrupted thinking, for reflection, for creativity, for time with your family, for rest? I mean, rest looks different for different people, but still, we have to be intentional with this. And so, with that, we again give you a best practice, right? Create daily space for uninterrupted thinking, reflection, and creative problem solving. And we include in there create daily space for family, time to rest, time to breathe, time to just be. My goodness. So here's what's coming to my mind next, right? Many people, many leaders, when you talk about that word creativity, many people feel blocked. From a psychological standpoint, share with us what are some of the most common internal barriers that prevent peak performance?
Well, definitely, it's the fear. I would say fear or stigma of creativity.
Mm,
And it has a lot to do with how we're raised as children. If you were, children are naturally creative. Spend some time with, preschool and kindergarten and first grade students and children, and you're going to see them being extremely creative
mm-hmm,
naturally. There's a natural tendency for that. But
mm-hmm,
sometimes the adults in our lives may say, okay, you need to be serious and stop doing that and focus.
mm-hmm,
And what we don't realize is that creativity is a form of intelligence. So we
mm,
need to harness that. Now, how does that look like? It's about, engaging in activities that bring enjoyment, whether it's, exposing yourself to different mediums, meeting new people, meeting new cultures, whatever it
yeah,
is you need to do, get out
yes.
and do that. Get out and see the world. There's so much out there. And that's important too. We need to be able to embrace different cultures and different perspectives. And that's what really creativity is.
Mm-hmm,
Again, it's going to look differently for everybody. It's not necessarily being art or being artistic. It's just about having an open mind and sometimes looking at things that even some of the problems that we're facing at the job or in a business may not necessarily be a logical A to B answer. It might require a backdoor thinking approach.
yes.
Where, and that's what if you think of it like look of all the innovations we've had, in our history as a species.
Mm-hmm.
That's all creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all the result of that. And so even if you're in a business where I hear people say, well, I'm not a creative type. Well, what do you? I work in innovation. I'm like, hello.
That's
What?
creativity.
Yeah, that's creativity. That's creativity with capital C right there. So that is important, is just to engage with people, new people. And, it even requires the people we interact with. And this is another strategy too. Go to networking events, go to, conferences if you can, go to local, chamber of commerce events
Mhm,
and
mhm.
meet people. And, this is where we have to. I know some people say, well, I'm introverted. Well, yes, you can still be introverted and still meet people. But the
Yes.
important thing is to be able to network. So a tactic, especially when it comes to creativity, when it comes to networking,
Mhm,
usually like if you go to an event with someone, let's say, or friends with, I think it's important. This is going to stretch out the comfort zone. Is that when you go to the event, you each go in your separate way and you meet your own set of people. You can always come back to
mhm.
reunite, because the idea, if you're going to these events, you're going to meet people. You're not going to meet people if you're sitting in your own huddle or clique. That's that. Usually, even when I go to conferences, what I like about other conferences I go to is they actually tell us every lunch,
Mm,
day,
mhm,
sit at a different table
mhm. Meet new
and
people.
meet new
Stand.
people, and don't sit with the people you came with.
Yes.
Sit
Y
with other people. Everybody's spread out.
yes.
And again, at first, it may seem intimidating. At first, it may seem a bit,
Mm,
scary, but
mhm,
that's why you're going to these things, because it's yes, it's to learn, but it's also to develop new connections.
mhm.
And these new
Absolutely.
connections are going to spur your creativity. You're going to expand that.
Mhm. I have found when forced into situations like that, typically I end up realizing that I have more in common with the people who I'm around than I thought, because everybody's human. We all have human experiences. We may have different backgrounds, different ways of getting to the same point. But as human beings, pretty much there's not a whole lot that's new under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things as you were talking, I was thinking to myself that one of the internal factors sometimes is fear, right? Whether it's fear of judgment, fear of making a mistake, fear of being vulnerable, whatever that may be. And so, leaders, we want to invite you. Dr. Bramante here is challenging us to step out of what is uncomfortable and step out of the comfort to be courageous. Try something new, meet someone new, allow yourself to experience new. That's what keeps you alive and feeds your brain and your mind and your nervous system, right? Allow yourself to be vulnerable. Allow yourself to just enjoy being present because progress creates momentum. All right. So, Doc, I want to ask you this question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to us the concept of the happy file from your book?
Sure. Well, the one thing that comes up a lot, especially as a business owner or creative, is imposter syndrome
Mm,
or self doubt, because
mm,
things may not go on our timeline.
mhm,
Where we think, okay, this is the way I want things to go. Well, that may not happen
mhm,
the way we intended to. So then what happens is we start feeling, should I quit? Should I stop doing what I'm doing? So the one thing we start with, taking stock of every good thing that's happened in the past 6 months to a year, and you start documenting that. You take out a journal or get, an app on your phone, and you document, or note taking app on your phone, of all the good things, the compliments you receive, the good reviews you receive, the satisfied, customers, the testimonials, everything that you receive that's positive. You get invited to speak, you get an invitation to attend an event because they want you there. That's
mhm,
a celebration.
mhm,
So you start running a list of these things, of these
mhm,
great things. It's sort of like keeping a gratitude journal in a sense.
mhm,
And you store it, somewhere we can easily find it. And then when you're having these, woe is me moments, which you all do, every one of us has those.
We're human.
We're
Yes.
human beings, where you think about, should I keep doing this? Is this really worth it? pull out the happy file,
Mm-hmm.
and it will start to remind you
Mm-hmm.
of what it is that, why you, connected to your whole reason as to why you're setting out to do what you're doing. What's your mission? And that's when you start to realize, when you start looking at it, it's like, well, I am making a difference.
Yes. Yes, yes. And for leaders, this is really important, right? Because we're in such a fast-paced, high-driven environment, society, culture right now, sometimes when we don't intentionally stop to recognize the wins, it seems like the failures or the mistakes or these negative distractions, they seem to take priority in our mind. And sometimes we're tempted to believe like that's it. It's just this black hole that we're operating in. It's never going to get better, or there's nothing good that's happening. But I've learned over the years that as a leader, we have to learn to view failure as information rather than identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
And
yes, no, go ahead.
no, I was going to continue because I like where you're going with this.
And so with that, I love what you're saying about creating this happy file, right? Because it's something that you can go back to. And like you said, especially when you're having those moments of discouragement, not every day feels good. Not every day feels like a win. There are things that happen that sometimes shake us or knock us off course. But if we have this digital file, or if we have an actual physical file, or that contains compliments and achievements and milestones, or we have a reminder of encouraging feedback, man, that helps us to be able to reset, right? And to be able to move forward a lot quicker and maintain our resilience. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, well, no, I was just gonna, comment on that, and look, one of the things I would often say is that there's no such thing as failure, only feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So when when things don't may not go in the way you wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
or go in the way that you intended to or expected, look at that as information,
Mm-hmm.
as a data point, as
Mm-hmm.
data, saying, okay, well, this is getting me closer to that. When Thomas Edison was doing his famous inventions, he had 1,000 prototypes that didn't work before his invention worked. And when he talked about it, he said, I didn't make 1,000 mistakes. These were 1,000 opportunities because it got me closer to where I need to be. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's the point thing, when you do something and let's say it doesn't work, or it doesn't go in the expectation that you would anticipate it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's data, and that's
Yeah.
feedback.
Absolutely. So take us a little bit deeper, right? You talk about failure extensively. How can leaders reframe? Take us a little bit deeper on how we can reframe our view of failure to be able to harness it as a stepping stone rather than a setback.
Well, that, again, looking at feedback,
Mm-hmm.
that this is a step for me to grow. This is
Mm-hmm.
something I've learned. I'm a human being. We're gonna fail. I mean, at times, and our view of failure gets convoluted way before turn 18, and it all depends again how our parents had done this. And if our parents allowed, rather than overprotected their child, but allow their child to experience, okay, this is something we grow. Because if we look at babies, for instance, and toddlers, if anybody, remember, or if you're a parent, you'll
Mm-hmm.
know this, that uh, when when a toddler is learning to walk,
Mm-hmm.
what do? They fall down hundreds of times,
Right.
but it parents gamify this,
Mm-hmm.
which is a great thing, and it becomes a badge of honor almost
Mm-hmm.
to fall down. And what do? You get right back up and you keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And we've never seen anyone say, "I quit walking."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, we give up so easily when something may not go the way we intended to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just how we learn to walk, we need to learn other skills too.
Mm-hmm.
So it may require a little bit of frustration. It may require a bit of, coming up with, innovative solutions, because the ones you I've set out or may have worked for other people does not work in your situation.
Mm-hmm.
So it involves by not giving up and keep being persistent
Mm-hmm.
and saying, I quit after a few attempts.
I love it. I love this. Okay. So as we turn the corner on this conversation, which has been so educational and informative and inspiring, I want to ask you this final question.
Mm-hmm.
For the leader that's listening and watching, for the creator, for the professionals, what is one science backed habit that they can start today to move closer to sustained peak performance?
This is back to neuroscience. This is going to sound, in a sense, woo woo, but it's not. And that is visualization.
Okay.
So, and this has been backed up. So spend some time, 5-10 minutes. It could be on your commute. It could be while you're in the shower doing some mundane things, and just imagine yourself of going through whatever it is you set out to do, whether it's a meeting, a presentation, an audition, a performance, a training that you're about to do.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine it running it through your head. Imagine that it's going to go well, and that it's that everything is going in your favor, and you're getting a good reception of that. When you do that, even if it's your imagination, you're just thinking about the brain and consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Is the brain does not know the difference between imagination and reality. So when you start prompting or priming your brain for success,
Mm-hmm.
you're acting as if it's already happening, and it's going to be a much stronger performance. And research has backed that up. I can tell you, because they did these with athletes too. Where they split up a group of athletes into 3 groups. One of
Mm-hmm.
them didn't do anything; it was a control group. The other group, they had them just practice a skill, like whether it was golf or any type of sports or play tennis. They would spend time just practicing, no visualization. They took another group that just did the visualization alone. The group that did visualization alone almost outperformed
Mm,
the ones that practiced.
I see.
So that's very important too, is to really set good expectations and almost act as if it's happening, act as if you're successful already.
I love this. So, Doc, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there are listeners and viewers that are like, okay, I'm understanding, this is good, and I want to know some more so I can really implement this in my life. Talk to us. How can our listeners and viewers find out more, get your book, engage with you? Talk to us.
Well, you can get my book on Amazon. It's Rise Above the Script, Confronting Self-Doubt, Mastering Self-Sabotage for Performing Artists. It's available in audiobook or Kindle or paperback. And you can also go to my website, albertbramante.com.
Excellent. This has been wonderful. Really, I have truly enjoyed this conversation, and I am inspired to refine and reset myself for peak performance, right? You had me thinking about what systems do I have in place that I need to adjust a little bit. So, thank you so much for joining us here on Transformation Station. It has been wonderful to have you with us today.
Well, thank you again.
Absolutely. All right. Well, listen. Wow. What a strong conversation we had today. You know, today's conversation reminds us that peak performance is not a destination. No, no, my friends, it is a process. It's built through intentional habits. Doc reminded us that we have to have disciplined thinking, self awareness, and the willingness to continue to grow beyond perceived limits. So, to everybody that's listening, I want you to remember this: your potential is greater than your current results. The question is not whether you have more to offer, the question is whether you're willing to develop it. I know this episode encouraged you, so be sure to subscribe to Transformation Station Leadership Podcast. Be sure to click the link below for Dr. Bramante and reach out to him and let him know that you heard, you saw this episode, and you want more. And share this episode with another leader in your network that's ready for transformational leadership. So until next time, keep growing, keep creating, and keep leading with purpose.